Hello there everyone and welcome to the new set of TVS Nightline. Here with me, Shal Shaminator, and as always, we begin with the headlines. Now the Sarawak government has announced 7 additional initiatives worth 141.7 million ringgit to assist small and medium enterprises or SMEs affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Deputy Chief Minister Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan said the extra initiatives under the Bantuan Khas Sarawak Kusayang or BKSS 5.0 will benefit more than 10,000 SME entrepreneurs in Sarawak. Among the extra initiatives are an additional 50 million ringgit under the Sarawak Microcredit Scheme, additional 20 million ringgit to the existing 2 million ringgit for the Small and Medium Industry Financing Scheme, and 22 million ringgit interest subsidy under the Targeted Relief and Recovery Facility. Also provided are 2.5 million ringgit for an interest subsidy under Penjana Tourism Financing, 20 million ringgit for Go Digital Sarawak program, and 2 million ringgit for Digital Marketing Training program.
Berikutan penularan pandemik COVID-19, ramai usahawan menceburi perniagaan online yang berupaya menjana pendapatan. Sehubungan itu, YB Ketua Menteri telah pun bersetuju untuk menyediakan peruntukan sebanyak RM20 juta bagi pelaksanaan program ini. Bantuan ini.
Meanwhile, small and medium entrepreneurs gladly welcomes the additional initiatives. For Muhammad Shukri Afandi, the additional initiatives have to some extent ease the burden of paying rent.
Terutamanya kerajaan negeri Sarawak lah amat membantu serba sedikit operasi kami orang lah semasa isu pandemik COVID-19 tu lah. Sedikit sebanyaknya membantu operasi menampung sedikit sebanyak kos yang perlu kita tampung lah.
Mau tolong kami orang bayar setengah ke atau macam ke bila-bila kan ya tolong kami, memang saya orang kasih terima kasih sama dia orang tu kerana ada tolong saya orang bah tengok cuma ada kosong cuma kurang pendapatan.
Terima kasih berhenti lah cakap untuk peniaga tu si apa deh balang sekarang mahal juga, kami pun beli orang juga. Tapi itu kalau mun ada bila ada customer susah juga, mun si mampu mau bayar lah. Semua macam tu, bukan seorang aja, semua macam tu lah.
Now, the Sarawak government has handed over an additional fund of 2.5 million ringgit to St. Joseph National Middle School in Kuching. Its acting chairman, Chris Chua, said this fund is not the first that was granted. The fund is meant to contribute to SMK St. Joseph's Mill Hill Block Restoration Project.
Total project cost is 5.5. We received 2.5 from the government this time. And earlier, the government has given us another 1.5 million. So in total, we have received 4 million from the state government.
He explained that the project is being rigorously implemented since August of 2020 and is expected to complete at the end of April 2021. Meanwhile, Kuching Roman Catholic Archbishop Simon Paul said the fund is a sincere contribution of the state government as his party failed to obtain the required funding in the past year.
So now with this funding, we'll be able to complete the shell, the main restoration of the building, but still classrooms, we need chairs, tables, equipments and so on for our students. So I appeal to the Old Josephian, boys and girls this time, to continue to support and give in whatever you can in donations.
Meanwhile, Sarawak suffered a 74.2% drop in tourist arrivals between January and December last year compared to the corresponding period in 2019 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The negative growth was observed with the state only recorded 1.99 million tourist arrivals compared to 4.62 million in 2019, said the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Dato' Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah.
Dari segi jumlah penurunan untuk foreigners ni penting. Untuk tahun 2020 yang masuk ke negeri Sarawak hanya 363,304 pengunjung. Kalau dibandingkan dengan tahun 2019, 2.082 juta, 2.082 million. That is really a huge drop. More than minus 82.55%.
Abdul Karim said the lower number of tourist arrivals also saw receipts from tourism drop by 75.12% to 2.88 billion ringgit during this period last year from 11.57 billion ringgit in 2019. To ensure that the tourism sector is not paralyzed, Karim said it is important for the state government to promote domestic tourism products through various campaigns, as well as collaborating with industry players to deal with their conundrum at the moment.
Only way for us to keep the thing alive is to make sure that the locals are moving around also, to visit the local tourism products and all that, also coming over to stay in the hotels. I mean, hotels in Kuching are not just meant for foreigners. Those from Cebu, from Somiri, they can come down here.
According to him, last year Sarawak has launched the Siasituk Sarawak campaign that would enable Sarawakians and non-Sarawakians with work permits to enjoy the state's tourism products with package discounts of up to 50%.
Now, following the receding flood situation in the southern region of Sarawak, now the central and northern regions have seen water levels rise. 2 temporary evacuation centres, or PPS, have now been opened to shelter 85 flood victims. According to the Secretariat of the State Disaster Management Committee, or SDMC, temporary evacuation centres, or PPS, have been set up at Nangga Embuau National School in Song District, Kapit, since 4 p.m. Tuesday, housing 77 victims from Kuleh Longhouse, Nangga Embuau. The incessant rain since a few days ago in Song District, located about 110 kilometres from Cebu and 51 kilometres from Kapit, caused the Batang Rajang River water level to increase and overflow into lower areas. Meanwhile, another PPS was opened at the Tatau Sports Hall, which was located about 60 kilometres from Bintulu at 9:45 a.m. on Wednesday, after 8 victims from 2 families from Dagang village in Tatau district were affected. Based on the weather forecast of the Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, Song and Tatau districts were forecast to receive heavy rain until next week. In addition, some other areas are also inundated, including Kampong Tabakang Melayu, Serian. Meanwhile, temporary evacuation centres in Tabakang National School will also be opened in case of additional evacuation of flood victims. Following the next update, as the temporary detour measuring 70 meters has been completed and open to the public in order to enable road users to travel along the Malakun Mujong Kapit Road, which was cut off by a landslide on Tuesday. According to the head of Kapit Fire and Rescue Department, Erwandi Tugor, the alternative route was built and repair works done by the Public Works Department and monitoring by Cahaya Mata Sarawak or CMS.
Yang terputus, walau bagaimanapun kemungkinan akan mengambil masa dan akan dimaklumkan untuk kerja-kerja yang seterusnya.
Meanwhile, the development of the road repair process will always be monitored as there is no scheduled time of completion following the implementation of the movement control order throughout the district. Previously, the Malakun Mujong Kapit Road was cut off in a landslide due to the continuous downpour, which also affected 10 longhouses in the area. A good news, as a total of 300,000 ringgit had been allocated for the Dayak Bidayu National Association, or DBNA, for the building of offices and multi-purpose hall. Now, this was announced by Seremu Member of Parliament, Miro Simuh. According to Miro, the allocation of the Rural Transformation Project, or RTP, will cater to the convenience of the communities to host activities. He also added that DBNA Bau focuses on the Bidayu community having a role to give positive impact to the said group, especially in exposing the locals on governmental bodies in education, economic opportunities, as well as social factors involving the Bidayu community.
Kita consider macam Dewan Mini lah bila mana kita boleh mengadakan program-program seperti latihan, seminar dan sebagainya untuk masyarakat Bidayu termasuk sekali di daerah Bau Amnya.
However, he said that the allocation was not sufficient and additional allocations will be given from time to time. Commenting further, he said DBNA Bau was located near the Bau Multipurpose Hall with the maximum capacity of 200 people, in which construction works had already began.
Bermula, kontraktor baru dilantik dan baru bermula lah dalam minggu ini. Dijangka siap pada Jun. Awal Jun 2021. Dalam 200 kapasiti, tetapi kita juga bangunan ini juga akan menempatkan pejabat DBNA Bau dan juga bilik mesyuarat lah.
Hello there everyone and welcome back. Now the research and development on Smart City by an international company has been completed and will be presented to the Chief Minister of Sarawak. According to the General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Board, or SMA, Zaidi Razak, final documents have been prepared and 15 initiatives aiming to benefit the people have been finalized.
Have to present it to our chairman, which is Chief Minister of Sarawak, the Right Honourable. And then we will proceed with our next course of action based on his direction. This is our stand here.
However, he said the Smart City program had already commenced, as one of the more important programs, Sarawak Pay, has been launched. Zaidi also explained that the Smart City program does not just involve new projects or programs, but more towards efforts to bring modern civilization to the community. On Sarawak Pay, he said between 600,000 to 800,000 Sarawak residents are now using the application, including in rural areas.
Currently, we have partnered with Bank Simpanan Nasional, all right, with their agent bank EB in the rural area, whereby those EB also the Sarawak Pay agent, whereby you can transfer your money through Sarawak Pay and get your cash from the EB in the rural area.
Meanwhile, for residents in rural areas, more agents should be appointed if there exists internet coverage, and more stores can utilize Sarawak Pay to carry out transactions. Now on to the COVID-19 update, as on Wednesday saw 3 new deaths due to COVID-19 recorded, 1 each in Kuching, Miri and Sibu. This brings the death toll in the state to 42 cases so far. Meanwhile, 148 new COVID-19 cases were detected in Sarawak, bringing the total number of positive cases in the state to 4,824. Sibu recorded the highest daily tally with 48 cases, Bintulu with 15, Dalat 15, Beluru 14, Miri 12, Kapit 8, Kanawit 8, Sabau 7, Song 7, Sri Aman 5, Bau 3, while Kuching, Lundu, Tatau, Subis, Selangau and Sarikei each recorded 1 case. Beluru district was also reported to have to change from yellow to orange status after recording 22 local transmissions in the past 14 days. 12 active clusters remain, and with the addition of 3 cases in Tabung Bau cluster brings it to 25 cases. Now, meanwhile, Malaysia as a whole recorded 4,284 new positive COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours. This brings the cumulative total of COVID-19 cases to 226,912 cases so far. Of that number, 6 cases were imported, having been affected overseas, while 4,278 were local transmissions. Active COVID-19 cases with high infectivity now numbers at 48,309 cases. 18 new deaths were also recorded nationwide, bringing the death toll to 809. So far, 307 cases are receiving treatment in intensive care units, and of that amount, 141 cases required ventilators. Now, the High Court here today sentenced former Felda chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Isa Abdul Samad to a total of 54 years in prison and a fine of 50.45 million ringgit, in default 18 years of jail. He was found guilty of 9 counts of corruption involving 3 million ringgit over the agency's purchase of Merdeka Palace Hotel Suites in Kuching, Sarawak. The former Negeri Sembilan Menteri Besar was sentenced to 6 years jail on each count of the charges. However, Muhammad Isa, 71, only has to serve 6 years in prison after Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali ordered the prison sentences to be served concurrently. Judge Muhammad Nazlan, when handing down the sentence, said it was a lesson for the accused and also to deter others from committing a similar offence. Judge Muhammad Nazlan allowed Muhammad Isa's application for a stay at the execution of the jail sentence and fine pending the disposal of his appeal at the Court of Appeal. The judge said the court was satisfied that Muhammad Isa had succeeded in establishing special circumstances for the stay application to be allowed. Now, meanwhile, Lembaga Tabung Haji has introduced a deposit-taking service through JUMPay, an online transfer service as part of its digital initiative to provide convenience to its depositors. According to Executive Director of Operations Mustaqim Mohamad, depositors could transfer funds from their bank's savings or current account to their Tabung Haji savings account through existing internet banking platforms. He also added that depositors do not need to register to use this facility and it is absolutely free of any charges. For further information on JUMPay, users can go on the official Tabung Haji website as stated. Meanwhile, he said almost 80% of transactions at Tabung Haji were carried out using online channels. JUMPay is supported by 28 banks in Malaysia through their respective internet banking platforms. On to the next update, as Equity Nasional Berhad, or Equinas, for the first time is investing in the pharmaceutical industry. The company obtained a controlling stake in Medispec Sendirian Berhad, a leading local pharmaceutical and supplement product distributor based on an enterprise of 88.5 million ringgit. Equinas in a statement said its entry into the pharmaceutical industry is highly cognizant of the macro themes at play. Its company chief executive officer Syed Yasser Arafat Syed Abdul Qadir said Equinas's entry into the healthcare and pharmaceutical space is timely. The company, he said, will look to capitalize on global megatrends and demographic shifts amid emergence of COVID-19. Medispec markets more than 100 pharmaceutical drugs and 30 health supplements under both prescription and over-the-counter categories. The company also owns Vitamode, an award-winning in-house health supplement brand which features specialty products such as COQ10 ubiquinol, Mecobin Lacidofil, Cognipro and Tumicap. Apart from growing the homegrown supplement brand Vitamode domestically, Teng Beng Lee, CEO of Medispec, said the company will ensure the brand is brought regionally to ASEAN countries by leveraging Equinas's expertise. To date, Equinas has undertaken cumulative investments in 42 companies since its inception in 2009, representing a total committed investment of 4.4 billion ringgit. The European Union, or EU, and Belgium have given assurances to fulfill their vaccine supply agreements with Malaysia. With the assurances of both the EU and Belgian ambassadors, Malaysia's COVID-19 immunization plan is expected to proceed according to plan. In a statement today, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Khairi Jamaluddin Abu Bakar, said the Special Committee on COVID-19 vaccine supply took note of the recent announcement on export controls by the EU of the COVID-19 vaccines manufactured in the European Union. With regards to the Pfizer vaccine that is manufactured in Perth, Belgium, Khairi added that the Belgian ambassador has given his assurances that the advance purchase agreement with Pfizer will be fulfilled upon Pfizer applying for export authorization, and the vaccines will be delivered on schedule beginning this month. Commenting further, he said the government of Malaysia has therefore asked that Pfizer request approval for immediate export approval from the government of Belgium, adding that the EU and Belgian embassies in Malaysia will be releasing statements regarding these supply assurances. Meanwhile, the first shipment of 1 million doses, coverage for 500,000 of the Pfizer vaccine, will be used in phase 1 of inoculation for frontliners and will be delivered in stages over the first quarter of this year. Thank you for staying with me. Now, following the next news, as a septuagenarian who was feared missing when searching for clams in Kampung Sebuyau has been found alive by rescue forces. 73-year-old Paun Husaini was found around 10:30 in the morning on Saturday in frail condition. According to Simunjan Chief of Rescue and Bomba Operations Center, Mat Undit, the victim went to the forest at a distance of 1 kilometer from the farm shed.
Mangsa yang hilang telah ditemui dengan selamatnya dan beliau telah balik ke rumah sendiri dan tadi beliau telah diantar ke klinik Sabangan untuk menerima rawatan selanjutnya.
Earlier, the victim went out with 2 of his nephews to search clams around 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning. At 4 p.m., his nephews realized that he had not returned home yet, following which both of them, along with the villagers, took the initiative to search for him, but failed to locate his whereabouts. The search and rescue operation ended at 11 p.m. yesterday after the search proved to be a dead end. Mat Undet said the search and rescue operations ended today after having found the victim, and he was allowed to return home at 12 p.m. An estimated of 16,000 ringgit worth of contraband cigarettes were disposed in Kuching. Kuching District Chief Assistant Police Commissioner Awangdin Awangani said the items included 1,250 cartons of non-taxable cigarettes. He added the items were exhibits after investigation were completed under the Custom Act 1967. The items were handed over during the handing over ceremony witnessed by Kuching South City Council Mayor Dato' Wee Hong Seng and Lower Court Registrar Ida Montong, together with other senior officers at the Kuching District Headquarters, to Trinican's representatives for disposal. Now, meanwhile, former President and Chief Executive Officer of Petronas, Tan Sri Wan Zulkifli Wan Arifin, has been appointed to be on the board of directors of Exxon Mobil Corporation. With this appointment, Exxon Mobil's board has now 11 total members, with the other 10 being independent directors.
Exxon Mobil Chairman and CEO Darren Wood said his expertise in the global industry and his insight related to the energy transition will complement the highly experienced board. During his tenure, Petronas reported multiple years of strong results and furthered the company's investment in lower emissions technologies. At this time, Wan Zulkifli is also the non-executive chairman in the board of Malaysia Airlines Berhad and DRB Highcom Berhad. He is also involved in several initiatives that are focused on education and public sector leadership.
A 24-year-old man narrowly avoided death after getting pinned in a conveyor machine at a factory in Samalaju Industrial Park, Bintulu on Wednesday. According to a spokesperson of Sarawak Bomba Operations Centre, an emergency call was received at around 3:45 Wednesday morning. A 5-man team was then immediately dispatched to the location. Upon arrival, the victim was found unconscious, pinned in the conveyor machine at the factory. After an inspection was carried out, the Bomba personnel used a hydraulic telescopic ram to loosen the pinch before successfully bringing the victim out. The victim was then handed over to the factory safety team before being rushed to Bintulu Hospital for treatment. And that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. Here with me, Shamiato, and as always, thank you for joining us tonight. I'll see you next time and have a good night.